I asked Demi Lovato why Selena Gomez never ages, and I wish I never heard her answer. What I uncovered was more than just a secret. It was a chilling revelation that shattered my understanding of beauty and friendship. Selena's ageless facade hides a terrifying truth, one that would change everything I thought I knew. Buckle up, because this journey leads to a darkness that few have dared to explore. Are you ready to uncover the horrors lurking beneath the surface? The laughter and chatter filled the cozy living room, a warm glow emanating from the string lights draped across the walls. Friends were gathered, sharing stories and drinks, a perfect evening to unwind. Among them sat Selena Gomez, her presence like a magnet, drawing all eyes. She was the epitome of youth, her skin radiant and flawless, as if she had stepped out of a painting. I couldn't help but admire her beauty, which seemed untouched by the relentless march of time. As I watched her, I felt an irresistible urge swell within me, an insatiable curiosity that demanded to be satisfied. I turned to Demi Lovato, who sat nearby, her expression a mix of amusement and caution. "Hey Demi," I began, my voice slightly hesitant. "Why do you think Selena never seems to age?" The moment the words left my mouth, the room fell into an unnerving silence. Laughter faded, and the clinking of glasses ceased. It was as if time had stopped, and all eyes turned toward Demi, waiting for her response. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach, the weight of my question hanging heavily in the air. Demi's gaze flickered to Selena, her brow furrowing slightly. "Do you really want to know?" she asked, her tone tinged with reluctance. There was a hesitation in her voice that sent a shiver down my spine. It was a simple question, yet I could sense that I had crossed some invisible line, venturing into territory that was best left unexplored. I suddenly felt exposed, as though I had pried open a door that should have remained shut. The tension in the room was palpable, an electric charge that buzzed in the silence. I glanced at Selena, who wore a mask of calm, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. Had I touched a nerve? Demi's reluctance only deepened my curiosity, igniting a fire within me that demanded answers. "Some things are better left unsaid," Demi finally replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. What was she hiding? A dark secret lurked beneath the surface, and I could feel it gnawing at the edges of my consciousness. My heart raced, a mix of intrigue and anxiety flooding my senses. The enigmatic nature of Selena's beauty had morphed into something sinister, a puzzle I couldn't resist trying to solve. Demi's vague response raised more questions than it answered. What was the truth behind Selena's ageless appearance? Was there a price to pay for such beauty? The questions spiraled in my mind, each one more unsettling than the last. I felt a sense of urgency building within me, a need to uncover the mystery that had just begun to unfold. As I sat in that living room, surrounded by friends, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was teetering on the edge of a precipice. A single question had opened a Pandora's box, and I was determined to explore its depths. But little did I know, the answers I sought would lead me down a dark path, one filled with secrets and horrors I could never have anticipated. But that was just the beginning. The air in the room felt thick with unspoken truths, each breath a reminder of the weight of Demi's words. I leaned in closer, my heart racing as she lowered her voice to a near whisper. "Some secrets are better left hidden," she said, her eyes darting to Selena, who was now staring intently at us, her expression unreadable. Demi's words hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over the evening's light-hearted atmosphere. The laughter and chatter that had filled the room moments ago felt like a distant memory. My mind raced with possibilities. What kind of secrets could possibly warrant such caution? The thought sent a chill down my spine, igniting a fire of curiosity that consumed me. I had to know more. Demi, what do you mean? I pressed, unable to contain my growing intrigue. Is there something you're not telling us? Her expression shifted, a mixture of concern and fear flitting across her face. It's not something you want to get involved in, she warned, her voice barely above a whisper. There's a curse involved, and it's more complicated than you can imagine. At that moment, the room felt as if it were closing in on me. The implications of her statement echoed in my mind, my imagination running wild with visions of dark magic and unseen forces. A curse? What kind of curse could be powerful enough to keep someone perpetually young? The tension was suffocating, and I could feel a wave of dread washing over me. Demi, please, I urged, my curiosity pushing me past the boundaries of caution. What kind of curse? What's really going on? But Demi shook her head, her expression one of deep concern. You don't understand. There are things about Selena that go beyond her beauty. It's not just about looking young, it's about what she sacrificed to maintain it. Each word felt like a puzzle piece falling into place, yet the picture it formed was terrifying. I could see the shadows lurking in the corners of my mind, whispering secrets that threatened to overwhelm me. My innocent curiosity had morphed into something darker, something that sent shivers down my spine. Sacrificed? What do you mean? I pressed, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and fascination. Demi's gaze dropped, her lips pressed into a thin line as if she were weighing her words carefully. Selena made a deal, one that comes with a heavy price. It's a pact that binds her to this curse, and the consequences are unimaginable. The chilling realization hit me like a tidal wave, crashing over the remnants of my naive curiosity. A curse tied to a deal? My mind raced with the implications of such a revelation, each thought more unsettling than the last. What kind of price had Selena paid for her unchanging beauty? What horrors awaited those who dared to pry too deeply? The atmosphere in the room shifted, the weight of Demi's words settling heavily on my chest. I glanced at Selena, who had remained quiet throughout the exchange, her eyes filled with an unreadable mix of emotions. Was she aware of the conversation? Did she know the depths of the darkness that surrounded her? In that moment, I felt both intrigued and terrified. My desire for answers was now wrapped in layers of dread. I had crossed the line, stepping into a world where beauty and horror intertwined, and the truth was far more complicated than I could have ever anticipated. But in that moment, I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole would go. As the evening wore on, I found it increasingly difficult to focus on anything else. The laughter of my friends now felt hollow, the light in the room dimmed by the weight of the secret I had uncovered. I could sense the shadows closing in, their whispers growing louder in my ears. I watched as Selena laughed with others, her smile radiant yet somehow tainted by the knowledge that lingered just beneath the surface. How could she maintain such an appearance while carrying the burden of a curse? What kind of sacrifices had she made, and at what cost? The questions spiraled in my mind like a tempest, each one more urgent than the last. I felt a pull, a magnetic force urging me to dig deeper, to uncover the truth that lay buried beneath the facade. But the more I learned, the more I realized that some secrets might be better left undiscovered. As my gaze flickered between Demi and Selena, I knew one thing for certain. I was standing on the precipice of a dark journey, one that could lead to unimaginable horrors. The allure of the truth beckoned, but I could feel the danger lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. I had unwittingly opened a door to a world shrouded in darkness, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. What awaited me on the other side? Only time would tell, but I was determined to find out, no matter the cost. The moment I returned home, I was consumed by a singular obsession: uncovering the truth behind Selena Gomez's ageless beauty. The eerie conversation with Demi had ignited a fire within me, one that demanded answers. I spent hours hunched over my laptop, my fingers flying over the keyboard as I delved into the depths of the internet, searching for anything related to Selena's past and the dark legends of curses surrounding eternal youth. Each click led me deeper into a labyrinth of myths and stories that twisted my perception of beauty and sacrifice. I stumbled upon ancient tales of women who, much like Selena, had made pacts for eternal youth, only to pay a horrific price. The stories were chilling, filled with rituals and sacrifices, echoing the ominous warning Demi had hinted at. One legend spoke of a powerful sorceress who granted beauty and youth to those willing to offer a piece of their soul. The catch? The sorceress would collect her due when the time came, leaving her subjects nothing but hollow shells of their former selves. I read on, my heart racing as the implications sunk in. Was this the fate that awaited Selena? As I scoured through articles and blog posts, I couldn't shake the growing sense of dread that settled in the pit of my stomach. Each revelation only deepened the mystery, revealing a dark history intertwined with Selena's seemingly perfect life. The more I learned, the more I understood that the truth was far more sinister than I had ever anticipated. I discovered accounts of other celebrities who had also dabbled in the dark arts of beauty and youth, each story echoing the same chilling refrain: beauty comes at a terrible cost. One actress, once adored for her timeless allure, had vanished from the spotlight, rumored to have paid the ultimate price for her beauty. The pattern was unmistakable, and I felt a creeping fear for Selena's future. As the days passed, my obsession grew, and I found myself spiraling deeper into this dark rabbit hole. I combed through forums filled with conspiracy theories and whispered rumors, each thread leading me further into an abyss of horror. I began to connect the dots, seeing shadows where I once saw light. The truth was a monster lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to be unleashed. Late one night, after hours of research, I stumbled across a chilling article titled "The Price of Eternal Youth: Celebrities Who Paid the Ultimate Sacrifice." The author detailed several cases of young starlets who had vanished under mysterious circumstances, their beauty fading into obscurity as if swallowed by the very darkness they had sought to escape. The implications were staggering, and I could feel the walls closing in around me. I clicked on the next link, my heart pounding in my chest. It led to a forum filled with anonymous users sharing their theories about Selena. Some claimed she was a modern-day witch, while others suggested she had made a deal with a demonic entity. Each post was more disturbing than the last, and I felt a chill run down my spine. What if there was truth in these tales? My mind raced as I pieced together the fragments of information. I recalled Demi's warning, her hint at a curse, and the sacrifices Selena had made. The narrative was becoming all too clear, yet the implications were terrifying. I was unraveling a dark tapestry woven with secrets and shadows, and I felt a growing sense of dread with every discovery. The deeper I dug, the more I realized I was digging my own grave. I had crossed a line into a world filled with dark magic and sinister forces, and I could feel their presence closing in around me. The stories of curses and sacrifices weighed heavily on my heart, and I began to question whether I was better off remaining oblivious to the truth. One night, as I lay in bed, the weight of my findings pressed down on me like a heavy shroud. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the very shadows I had been researching were now creeping into my reality. I tried to dismiss the thought as paranoia, but the fear lingered, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. I decided to reach out to Demi, hoping she could shed some light on the darkness I was encountering. I texted her, my fingers trembling as I typed, "Demi, I need to talk. I've found some disturbing things about Selena's path. Please, what do you know?" The response came quickly, but it only fueled my anxiety. "Some things are better left alone. Just be careful." Her cryptic warning echoed in my mind, amplifying my fears. What was she afraid of? What did she know that I didn't? As the days turned into nights, I became consumed by the investigation. I couldn't escape the feeling that I was in over my head, that I was unearthing something that should remain buried. But my curiosity was insatiable, and I felt an undeniable pull to continue my search for the truth. Each new piece of information only heightened my anxiety, confirming that Selena's beauty came at a terrifying price. I was caught in a web of secrets that threatened to ensnare me, and I couldn't help but wonder how far I was willing to go to uncover the truth. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized I was digging my own grave. Days turned into nights as I became increasingly consumed by my investigation into Selena's agelessness. Each revelation about curses and sacrifices weighed heavily on my heart, and yet my obsession drove me forward. I needed to know the truth, no matter the cost. It was during one of these late-night research sessions that I stumbled upon a clue, something that would change everything. While browsing through fan pages and obscure forums, I came across whispers of a hidden journal belonging to Selena. According to the posts, it contained her innermost thoughts and fears regarding the curse she bore. The idea of a personal journal filled with her secrets sent a thrill of excitement and dread through me. If I could find it, perhaps I could finally understand the depth of her sacrifice. After hours of searching, I found a thread detailing the location of the journal, a secluded spot in a park near Selena's childhood home. My heart raced as I made my way to the park, the moon casting eerie shadows across the path. The air was thick with anticipation, and I could feel a strange energy pulsing around me. What would I uncover within the pages of her journal? Upon arriving, I followed the directions I had found. Hidden beneath the roots of an ancient oak tree, I discovered a small, weathered box. As I pried it open, I felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. Inside lay a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. I took a deep breath before carefully opening it, my heart pounding in my chest. The first entry was dated several years ago, and it immediately pulled me into Selena's world. Her handwriting was elegant yet shaky, betraying the inner turmoil she had been grappling with. She wrote about the weight of her fame and the insatiable pressure to maintain her youthful image. But beneath the surface, there was something darker at play. As I read on, the tone of her entries shifted. She began to reveal her fears about the curse, expressing a haunting sense of dread. I feel as if I'm living in a dream. One entry read, "I can't escape this beauty, but it comes with a price I never anticipated. What will happen when the time comes to pay?" Each word resonated with a chilling clarity, and I could feel the weight of her sacrifices pressing down on me. The emotional turmoil depicted in her journal heightened my sense of impending doom. Selena wrote about sleepless nights filled with nightmares, visions of losing everything she held dear. "I've sacrificed so much," she lamented. "My friends, my family, even parts of my soul. I fear the day will come when I won't recognize myself anymore." Tears stung my eyes as I turned the pages, my heart aching for her. I had always admired her beauty and grace, but now I saw the fragile human behind the facade. The truth about the curse and the sacrifices made for beauty was becoming painfully clear. Each entry peeled back another layer of her anguish, revealing a depth of suffering that I had never imagined. Selena's journal became a window into her soul, filled with desperate pleas for understanding and connection. "I wish I could tell someone all of this," she wrote in one particularly poignant entry. "But how can I share a burden so heavy without dragging others into my darkness?" As I read, the horror of her reality sank in. The curse wasn't just about eternal youth. It was a relentless cycle of fear and isolation. Her beauty came at a cost that was far greater than I had ever anticipated. I felt a growing empathy for her, a connection to the pain she had experienced in silence. But just as I began to process the weight of her words, I stumbled upon a final entry that sent chills down my spine. It was dated just a few weeks ago, and the tone was different, almost frantic. "I'm running out of time," she wrote. "The darkness is closing in, and I cannot escape it. I fear what will happen to me if I do not find a way to break this curse. I need help, but I don't know who to trust. Is there anyone left who can save me?" The finality of her words struck me like a bolt of lightning. Selena was trapped in a cycle of despair, and her desperate plea for help echoed in my mind. I felt a surge of determination. If she was fighting against the darkness, I had to join her. I couldn't let her face this battle alone. But what I didn't know was that the real horror was yet to come. As I closed the journal, an unsettling feeling washed over me. I realized that my curiosity had led me into a world of shadows, and the deeper I delved, the more entangled I became in Selena's nightmare. The truth was out there, waiting to be uncovered. But it was a truth that might consume me just as it had consumed her. I tucked the journal back into its box, my mind racing with questions. What could I do to help her? How could I break the cycle of despair that had ensnared her? As I left the park, the weight of my discovery pressed down on me. But I knew one thing for certain. I was no longer an outsider in the story. I was part of it now, and I was determined to find a way to help Selena before it was too late. The weight of Selena's journal pressed heavily on my mind as I approached her the next day. I had spent the night tossing and turning, the revelations swirling through my thoughts like a tempest. I could no longer ignore the truth that lay beneath the surface of her beauty. The time for silence was over. I had to confront her. As I walked into the cafe where we often met, I spotted Selena sitting alone at a table, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the rim of her coffee cup. She looked beautiful, as always, but there was a vulnerability in her eyes that caught my attention. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest, and approached her. "Selena, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions brewing within me. Her gaze flickered up to meet mine, and I could see the flicker of concern in her eyes. "What's wrong?" she asked, her tone light but her expression betraying a hint of apprehension. I hesitated for a moment, searching for the right words. "I found your journal," I finally admitted, the weight of the confession hanging in the air between us. The color drained from her face, and I could see the panic rising in her eyes. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please just forget what you read." But I couldn't forget. With each passing moment, the urgency of the situation escalated. "Selena, I can't just forget it. You're living under a curse that you've sacrificed so much for. You don't have to face this alone." Her expression hardened, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of something dark behind her eyes. "You don't understand," she snapped, her voice rising. "You have no idea what you're talking about. I can't let anyone in. It's too dangerous." "Dangerous?" I echoed, incredulous. "What's dangerous is keeping this hidden. You're suffering, and I can help you if you just let me in." The tension in the air crackled like electricity, and I could feel the weight of the truth pressing down on both of us. Selena's facade began to crack, and for the first time, I saw the depth of her anguish. Tears welled in her eyes, and she looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "You think I wanted this?" she choked out, her voice breaking. "You think I chose to live this way? I'm trapped in a nightmare of my own making. I didn't want to be beautiful forever. I just wanted to be loved." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had always seen her as a symbol of strength and beauty, but now I was witnessing the raw vulnerability beneath her exterior. "Selena, I'm here for you. We can find a way to break this curse together. We can—" "No," she interrupted, her voice rising in desperation. "You don't understand the consequences. The price of beauty is steep, and I've already sacrificed too much. If you get involved, you could end up paying the price too." The intensity of her reaction sent a chill down my spine. I took a step back, struggling to process the horror of her reality. "What are you saying? What have you sacrificed?" Selena pressed her hands to her temples as if trying to ward off the thoughts swirling in her mind. "I've lost friends, family, parts of myself. I've made deals with forces I can't control. I thought I could handle it. But the darkness, it's overwhelming." In that moment, the gravity of her words crashed down upon me. The truth was more terrifying than I could ever imagine. The sacrifices she had made were not just for her beauty, they were for her very existence. I felt a deep sense of empathy for her, mixed with a growing dread at the implications. "Selena, please," I implored, my voice trembling. "We can figure this out. We can find a way to break the curse. You don't have to face this alone. I care about you." But as I spoke, I could see the walls she had built around herself fortifying. She shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. "You don't know what you're asking. You think you can help me, but you'll only end up in danger. This is my burden to bear, not yours. The confrontation escalated as emotions boiled over, and I could feel the rift between us widening. You're pushing me away, I shouted, frustration spilling over. Why can't you see that I want to help you? I don't care about the danger. Because you should care, she yelled back, her voice cracking with desperation. You have no idea what I've gone through. You don't know who I've become because of this curse. I can't let you get hurt because of me. The weight of her anguish hung heavy in the air, and I realized that our friendship was teetering on the edge. The truth we were confronting was too heavy for either of us to bear. I could see the fear in her eyes, a fear that mirrored my own. As the conversation reached a boiling point, I could feel the chasm between us widening, threatening to swallow us whole. The truth about her curse had shattered the fragile bond we shared, leaving us both vulnerable and exposed. Selena, I began, but the words caught in my throat as I watched her struggle with her emotions. I just want to help you. You can't, she replied softly, the fight leaving her voice. I need to protect you from this. I can't drag anyone else into my nightmare. The finality in her tone sent a wave of despair crashing over me. I had come seeking answers, hoping to help a friend, but instead, I was losing her to the very darkness I sought to confront. In that moment, I realized the true cost of knowledge. The truth may have set me free, but it also threatened to tear us apart. Our friendship, once a bright light, now felt like it was slipping through my fingers like sand. But the truth was more terrifying than I could ever imagine. Days turned into weeks, and as the sun rose and set, I found myself trapped in a nightmare of my own making. Despite my best efforts to reach out to Selena, she had retreated further into herself, her laughter fading into a distant memory. I watched helplessly as the toll of the curse began to manifest, each day revealing a new facet of her decline. At first, it was subtle. She seemed more tired, her vibrant energy dimming like a candle flickering in the wind. Her once bright smile would occasionally falter, replaced by an expression of deep-seated worry that hung like a cloud over her. I could see the shadows beneath her eyes deepening, the playful light that had always sparkled there, dimming into something more somber. As I observed the changes, a gnawing sense of dread settled in my gut. The curse wasn't just a haunting whisper in her mind. It was a tangible force, slowly consuming her from the inside out. I could feel the urgency rising within me, a desperate need to act before it was too late. Each moment of inaction felt like a stolen breath, a step closer to losing her forever. One afternoon, as we sat in the same cafe where our friendship had once flourished, I noticed the way she absent-mindedly stirred her coffee, her mind clearly elsewhere. "Selena," I ventured cautiously, "are you okay? You seem different." She looked up, and for a brief moment, I caught a glimpse of the old Selena, the one who radiated warmth and laughter. But then it flickered, and her gaze dropped to the table, a shadow passing over her features. "I'm fine," she replied, but her voice lacked conviction. "Are you really?" I pressed gently, my heart pounding. "I've seen the way you've been acting. You can't keep pretending everything is all right." Her eyes flashed with a mixture of anger and sadness. "What do you want me to say?" She shot back, her defensiveness evident. "That I'm scared? That I feel like I'm losing myself?" "Yes, exactly that. I exclaimed, leaning forward in my seat, desperation clawing at my throat. Selena, I want to help you. We can figure this out together. You don't have to face this alone. But she shook her head, the fragile facade she had built around herself crumbling. You don't understand, she whispered, her voice trembling. This curse isn't just about me. It's about everyone I care about. I can't let you get hurt because of me. The pain in her eyes was almost too much to bear. I wanted to scream, to shake her and make her understand that I was willing to stand by her side, no matter the cost. But I could see how deep the fear ran, like a river of darkness threatening to drown her. As the days passed, I resolved to dig deeper into the curse that had ensnared her. I scoured the journal again, searching for any clue that might help us break its hold. The more I read, the more I understood the horrific reality of what she was facing. The legend spoke of beauty being both a gift and a curse, a duality that exacted a terrible price. One evening, I stumbled upon a passage that sent a chill down my spine. It detailed the fates of those who had made pacts for eternal youth. Many had found themselves trapped in a cycle of despair, their beauty fading as they lost their essence. The more they clung to their youthful appearance, the more they sacrificed their humanity. It was a horrifying revelation that left me reeling. I returned to Selena, determined to confront the truth head-on. Selena, I think I found something that might help us understand the curse better, I said, urgency lacing my voice. But as I met her gaze, I saw the despair etched across her face. You don't get it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I can feel it happening. My beauty is fading, and with it, a piece of my soul. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The weight of her words settled heavily in the air between us. The stakes had never felt higher. Selena was losing herself, and I felt powerless to stop it. My heart ached as I realized that beauty truly came with a devastating cost. Each time I saw her, I felt the edges of my own sanity fraying. I had entered this journey hoping to help, but instead, I was witnessing the slow unraveling of the person I cared about most. The laughter we once shared had fallen silent, replaced by an oppressive atmosphere of dread. One night, as I lay in bed, my thoughts spiraled into darkness. I couldn't help but wonder how long it would be before the curse consumed her entirely. The thought of losing Selena felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I had to find a way to save her, but I was running out of time. The urgency of the situation pressed down on me like a heavy shroud. I knew that every moment I hesitated was a moment lost, a step closer to losing her forever. As I closed my eyes, I made a promise to myself. I would do whatever it took to help Selena break free from the chains of the curse. But what I didn't realize was that the shadows were only preparing for their final act. As the shadows lengthened and the air grew thick with tension, I found myself standing at a precipice, torn between two paths. Selena's condition had worsened, and with each passing day, the darkness that threatened to consume her loomed larger, casting a pall over everything we had once cherished. The time had come for me to make a choice, one that would alter the course of our lives forever. I sat in my room, the journal sprawled open before me, its pages filled with haunting truths and desperate pleas. I could feel the weight of Selena's struggles pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. The decision weighed heavily on my heart. Should I join her in this cursed existence? Or should I find a way to escape the darkness that threatened to ensnare us both? The thought of abandoning her felt like a betrayal, yet the idea of being drawn into the abyss alongside her filled me with terror. I could feel the pull of the curse, an insidious whisper urging me to surrender, to accept the darkness as my own. But deep down, I knew that succumbing would mean losing everything I held dear: my identity, my hope, and ultimately, my soul. Selena, I whispered into the silence of my room, the name feeling heavy on my lips. I could picture her, frail and lost, haunted by the choices she had made. She had fought so hard to maintain her beauty and youth, and yet, here we were, teetering on the edge of despair. The stakes had never been higher. I recalled the legends I had read, tales of those who had made similar choices, sealing their fates with irreversible consequences. The cost of eternal youth was not merely physical. It came with a price that echoed through generations, a price that defied the very essence of what it meant to be human. As I wrestled with my internal conflict, a moment of clarity washed over me. The curse was not simply about beauty. It was about sacrifice, isolation, and the loss of self. I could see now that Selena was not just battling the shadows. She was fighting against the very fabric of her humanity. To join her would mean embracing that darkness, becoming a part of a cycle I could never escape. In that moment of desperation, I understood the horrific implications of my choices. I couldn't let myself be consumed by the same curse that had already begun to unravel her. I had to fight for both of us, to seek a way to break the chains that bound her without succumbing to the darkness myself. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. I couldn't abandon Selena, but I couldn't allow myself to be dragged into the depths either. I had to find a way to confront the curse, to face it head on and help her reclaim her life. As I prepared to face Selena, a sense of determination surged within me. I would not let fear dictate my choices. I would seek the light amid the shadows, the truth that could save us both. But I knew that the journey would be fraught with peril, and the path ahead would demand everything I had. In that moment, I knew the truth. The answer to my question had unleashed a darkness I could never escape, but I would fight to ensure it wouldn't claim Selena as its own. As I confronted Selena, the truth hit me with the force of a tidal wave. The curse was not hers alone. It had begun to entwine itself around me, feeding off my fears and desires. I realized that my obsession with uncovering her secrets had awakened something dark within me, a darkness that craved the very beauty I sought to save her from. In that moment, I saw my reflection in her eyes, a mirror of the anguish and despair she had fought against. The haunting truth settled in my bones. Some truths were better left undiscovered. The weight of the curse loomed over us both, and I understood that by seeking to save her, I had unwittingly invited the shadows into my own soul. As I stood there, I knew I had to choose: embrace the darkness or fight to break free from its grasp, even if it meant sacrificing everything I had come to know.